Welcome everybody to another episode in the Empowerment Series. I am Stephanie Singleton, and I am here with the incredible Dr. Rosina Bakari, who is an empowerment psychologist. And so today, what are we going to be talking about today? Today, we are talking about something that everyone experiences, and that's discontentment. Okay, but this is not your regular conversation about discontentment, so stay right here. As some of you already know who have been following us for quite some time, Dr. Rosina Bakari always challenges our beliefs around certain issues. So this is another conversation. It's not going to be out there, but it's going to challenge you, and it's going to really get you to think about discontentment. And so please welcome Dr. Rosina Bakari, everybody. Dr. Bakari, good as always to see you. When I saw this topic that you wanted to discuss this topic and where you were coming from with it, I was like, wow, okay, this is going to ruffle some feathers, right? This is really going to ruffle some feathers, the way that you are approaching it, right? And so let's just start out with discontentment, period, right? Because from what I've been seeing lately, it appears that we're all being programmed that discontentment is something that we should never experience. And if we're experiencing it, something is wrong with us. And I look at a lot of info that's coming at people from like New Age, if people are still calling it that, from New Age practitioners, from people that practice The Secret or any type of abundance type of thing. Not all of them, but plenty trying to suggest that if you're discontented, you're not thinking right, right? Is something with your thinking. And that's the reason why you're experiencing it. But you say discontent is a normal experience and circumstance. So let's talk about that for a minute. Can you just kind of expand on that for us?
Sure. Yeah, discontentment is a part of life. Nobody gets through without it. I don't care how long you can meditate, how many books you read on self-help, or how much manifesting you do in your life. Discontentment is one thing that we know we all have in common. And it just says that things come to us, things come our way that make that puts a gap or a pause in how we're feeling at the moment, for the day, for the year. It could be our health, could be relationships, could be just something we can't get where we want to get to in this period of time. And discontentment can lead us to further growth, but everybody has to stop and pause and deal with discontentment. Doesn't mean that we've done something wrong. It just means that we have some choices to make that we don't really want to make.
I have to laugh at that, because you know what you and I talked about yesterday, and it had to really do with I was having to make some decisions. I was being put actually in a position where I needed to make some decisions that I really did not want to make. And it was really, I have really shifted into a spot of discontentment, and not just discontentment, but disempowered discontent, right? So you talk about there's empowered discontent and disempowered discontent. And I would have never thought, I've never even heard of those phrases, right? And I would have never even thought that there could be such a thing as empowered discontentment, right? So can you just give us the distinction between empowered discontentment and disempowered discontentment?
Sure. So given that discontentment is a natural and normal part of everyday life, when discontentment happens, it shows us really what side of the fence we fall on, empowerment or disempowerment. So how we experience or take in, absorb discontentment, tell us how self-empowered we are. So if I am, for example, discontentment, and whenever I'm discontent, it follows that I'm then angry, bitter, retaliatory, self-doubt, or some other negativity follows discontentment. It's likely that I'm disempowered. I experience discontentment in a disempowered way. Natural, normal experiences that leave me in negative states of being about myself and or the world. If I'm empowered in my discontent, it leads me toward growth, curiosity, personal challenge, and development. I'm not in a negative place because I experience discontentment. And one of the biggest issues is that when discontentment occurs, empowered people tend to look internally. How can I absorb this, be present in this, come out of this feeling okay about myself, even if I don't get what I want? If I'm disempowered in my discontent, I start looking at who's to blame, who can fix this, why isn't it fixed, and why am I having this period of discontentment? Whether it's a driver driving too slow in front of us, we are discontented. Something is wrong with that driver, as opposed to, whoa, should I check out my own driving? Am I driving too fast? Am I in a hurry? Did I not leak? That's about me. But so even in the smallest ways where discontentment can show up, we can disempower ourselves by blaming, looking for someone to fix something that we can very easily, let me take that very easily part back, that we can sort through ourselves and grow. Half of us could probably grow from simply learning how to drive nicer in traffic. That's a little thing. There's growth in that. What if I drove to work in peace without worrying about how the person in front of me is driving? What if I did that? Little pieces we miss that add up sometimes. So if I can't keep myself in a state of contentment on a 20-minute drive to work, it's even more difficult and challenging to do that in a 20-year relationship.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that when you're disempowered through discontent, everything is external for you. Your whole piece is dependent upon everything going the way you want it to go, right? Is that correct?
Sorry, absolutely. I had to drink some water because I'm
no worries.
trying to get through this allergy season. So apologize. So right, in discontentment, we rely on the world, and not the whole world, big thing, but our world. Anything from politics to relationships to our job to, again, the car driving in front of us. We rely on the external world to dictate our internal experience instead of growing into a healthy internal experience that then determines how we experience the external world. So we're wearing our socks inside out.
Because I like what you said about empowered discontent is it's all about doing the internal work so that no matter how the situation you're in, and it's not to say that the situation is not hellacious, let's say, right? These situations are not always hellacious, but sometimes life is life and then it's hellacious, okay? So what I heard you say was, even if you are in that situation and you're empowered with your discontent, you can come out of that. Just doing the internal work, you can come out of that situation still feeling good about yourself, still feeling good about who you are, even if the circumstances did not change.
Right. And that's important. We grow. The biggest difference is growth, not just feeling good about yourself, because there's a whole lot of people who feel good about themselves that have experienced no growth. Because when I blame the world for everything that I don't have, I still can feel good about myself. Even because anything that I don't have is because of you, not me. So that doesn't change how I feel about myself. In fact, I can feel grandiose about myself. It's the rest of the people around me that keep falling up short. And the more I see them fall up short, the better I feel about myself. There's no growth in that. So that's the important piece. The empowerment piece is that I take my experiences in the world and I use them as tools, chiseling the best parts of me. I take the tools, discontentment, experiences, and I use them to chisel the best part of me. I'm always chiseling me. And I do mean chisel in terms of sculpting, not in terms of picking me apart. That's very different. I mean, in terms of continuously sculpting how I show up in the world as my best self and embrace all of who I am in a way that brings me peace, joy, and happiness. Here's the piece when I know I'm growing, that extends to how I see other people in the world. The better I see myself, the more whole I see myself, the more compassionate I see myself. I see also reflections of that in the world. Namaste. The God in you, the God in me sees the God in you, right? How I am experiencing the world internally is how I'm able to see it externally, right? If I am disempowered, I can still feel good about myself. That's why I want to be clear in some of these terms. It's not just about feeling good about yourself. A lot of people feel good about themselves, but can I create a world where I'm showing up the way that I want and get the things that I want? Am I getting what I want out of life, or am I complaining about how horrible everything out here is? If you feel good about yourself but complain about everything else, that's not empowerment. You're disempowered. You're disempowered.
Oh, thank you for that, about how you can, you can feel good about yourself, but still have not experienced any growth. Thank you for that. That, for me personally, that's a really good nugget. I don't know about you guys out there, but for me, that hit something. Okay. That really hit something. And so just to talk about, piggyback off what you just said about looking out at the world, and it's the fault of everything, right? Why I'm discontented. Just looking at what's going on now, right? Just in the world, geopolitically, economically, like whatever it is, we're all being so distracted to not look in, right? To not look at, okay, what's happening in me and what can I do about that to chisel, like you said, to chisel and sculpt the person who I want to be and how I really want to move through the world. Because I don't think any of us really want to suffer, right? We don't really want to be suffering every day with all of these things coming at us. But it just really seems like it's so easy to get distracted from ourselves. And when I think about a lot of these studies and reports coming about now about how lonely a lot of us feel, and how many more people are on antidepressants, and all of this is just like, it's like this, we're just being directed through media, through whatever, to not really look here. Like, the power is here. That's always something I've always heard from you. Like, the power is here in us, not out there. So do you want to say any more about that?
Absolutely. So our attention goes toward what is in here is aligning with. So if we're constantly, and this is important, if we are constantly noticing how horrible the world is, and that's impacting us, that's not what's impacting you. You are constantly noticing what the world, how horrible the world is, because there's something in here that's already aligning with the deceit and the betrayal and the violence and the da-da-da. So you have to ask yourself, what in me is aligning with what I see, that I keep seeing that piece? Try and break it down and give an example. I'm a runner, right? I love running. It's a piece of me. It's a part of me. It's internal. I'm passionate about it. Because I am a runner, we could drive down the street and I will pick up 5 people that I see running down the street that you will never see. You will not even notice that we passed 5 runners on the street. You won't even notice. Why? Because running ain't got nothing to do with you. So your brain is not picking up on that, right?
Right.
It took me 2 years to train my husband, because he would complain about the people running in the street, right? Why are they running in the street? And I'd go, honey, they're running in the street because the sidewalks are uncomfortable, because the way that you run and you gait, blah, blah, blah. I said, just slow down. When you see them, I said, they getting their jog on. Leave those people alone. They getting their peace on, their meditation on. Don't you dare be hating on them, because it's going to be me in an hour, or tomorrow morning, it's going to be your wife out there. And somebody driving there. I said, so leave him alone, right? And everything. So now when he sees him, he's like, okay, there's a runner. Leave him alone, because now he has a secondary attachment to it, right? My point is, whatever is inside of us, we will see a manifestation of it externally somewhere. Somewhere. I intentionally try and build my life, sculpt and chisel my life, so that I am not in alignment with violence and wrongdoings and ugliness. So my tendency is to turn the TV off when it comes on. My tendency is not to go see those kind of, or watch those kind of movies on Netflix. My tendency is to not watch the news, because I don't have an alignment, or I'm constantly trying to break and the alignment that the world keeps forcing on me, right? I'm constantly trying to break that alignment that has nothing to feed for me, right? To the point where maybe I might be in a meeting, something, did you know, like, oh, I didn't know that. Maybe people think I should have known that because I'm a grown woman that live in a world, but that's not what I want my spirit aligning with. So when I see those things, I'm not cold-hearted about it. Of course, it's wrong and I get it. So I'm not being cold-hearted. But I'm also looking for something that aligns with my spirit, and make sure that I'm feeding my spirit and not just living off of what society wants to put in my cup.
And that's not to say, I just don't want people to get it twisted. That's not to say that if you're in situations that are dangerous or toxic or whatever, that you stay in those. But when you're empowered, because the discontent is really a signal, like, okay, you need to do something. You need to do something.
Absolutely. It's to look within. And so being in an abusive or toxic environment is difficult if I'm really aligning with what my core spirit is. What am I aligning with? So it may be, if I'm in a toxic environment, whether it's at work or at home, then you have to ask, what in me is aligning with this environment? And that's where the growth comes in. Oh my goodness. I can't say no to anybody. That goes back to this. If I say no, and a fear of abandonment and blah, blah, that's where the growth comes in. That's the empowerment, because I'm looking at how I can chisel me to show up as my best self, because no one tolerating a toxic environment is their best self. Talking about being your best self. Empowerment gets you to your best self. That's why it's a life journey. It's not, I might be empowered today. Tomorrow we got to eat the soup again. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't get to brush your teeth once a week. If you want a pretty smile, you brush your teeth every day or twice a day, right?
Right.
Same thing with empowerment. It's not a one and done. It's not, what do I need to get empowered? Nothing. You live an empowered life. How do I keep my oral hygiene daily? It's a daily thing. It's not a one and done. It's not a I'm an empowered person. Not if you don't keep practicing it, you won't be. No more than you'll be cavity free if you stop brushing your teeth.
And you know, this is the truth. And I'm really glad you said that, because sometimes we want that instant fix. It's like, man, I've been doing this for like 2 days. and I'm not and I'm not really feeling different. So, you know, bump this. I'm gonna leave it alone. But this whole empowerment and growth is, like you said, this is a daily regimen you have to do. You know what I'm saying? For the rest of your life. This is a lifelong thing. And it may look like one thing today, and tomorrow it may look like something else. But the more you keep doing it, the more empowered you do become. And I like what you're saying about the power is not out there. I think that that can't be said enough. There's no power for any of us out here, right? Looking out here for something. All that is here, and it's about developing that. So one thing, because you did really talk about how empowered discontent can help us grow, right? You've covered that. So give us some signs of disempowered content. What does that look like? What are some of the behaviors that people are doing when they are in the throes of disempowered discontent?
Yeah, if when you experience discontentment, right? That's what this is about. What do you do with discontentment? If the first thing you do with discontentment is look for the cause of your discontentment outside of yourself, then that's disempowering. That is disempowering. Now, here's the important piece. It could be that, Stephanie, you are wrong because you didn't answer any of my emails that I sent you 4 times. And you are my colleague, and you knew that this project needed to be done, right? It could be that you're wrong about that. That's beside the point. We can get to what the consequences of that are later. But I have some questions that I have to ask of myself first, if I'm going to be empowered in this experience of discontentment, right? Like, did I reach out to the right person? Was I overly relying on Stephanie because she's the closest person to me? Did I overstep the boundaries of expectation due to a relationship? Have I done that before? What was I relying on in order to get this going? Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have some adjustment to make in my relationship to you. I certainly may have to make some adjustments, but I first deserve to take a look at myself if growth is going to occur. Or it could be, yeah, but Stephanie has done this before, and why didn't you follow? And should I have followed up? Why didn't I follow up? Oh, I didn't follow up because I was too busy, truth be told, because I'm overwhelmed with too much stuff and I'm not keeping up on top of it. Is there something I need to adjust in my life so that I can do a better job of my follow-throughs on work? Oh, and that still means I have to address something with Stephanie. But the first question has to be, how did I leave room in my life for this circumstance to occur? Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes the answer is absolutely nothing. I was absolutely spot on and taking care of all of my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That happens too. And still, because discontentment is not impartial, or is not partial, rather, it comes to all of us. So it could be by absolutely no fault of my own, discontentment shows up. And in that case, then it's still mine. How do I need to address this so that I can experience growth as a consequence of it, instead of anger, bitter hostility, where I'm looking to retaliate? Because those do not align with my spirit. And if they do, that's an opportunity for me to check myself. Sometimes maybe it's, oh, I could work on allowing people to disappoint me. Maybe I need to just allow a little bit more room for disappointment so that I'm not discombobulated because somebody doesn't come through for me. Yes, I might have to shift that relationship, but it's a different, I can make that shift from a place of peace and self-respect, not from a place of arrogance or judgment. It feels different because growth is going to occur when I'm empowered in my discontentment.
So this is about a self-examination, not necessarily picking ourselves apart or, being down on ourselves, but just like a real assessment of, okay, where am I at in all of this, right? Where am I at in all of this? And I really like that, because a lot of us, I speak for myself, a lot of us sometimes have the tendency to like blame ourselves and start picking ourselves apart, or beating ourselves up about a particular situation, and where this is just looking at it just like really objectively. That, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, without judgment. Without judgment. If we start judging ourselves, we're going to keep judging other people. There's no empowerment in that. That's disempowerment. Again, I'm looking for the world to change, or I'm beating up on myself so I don't grow, right? So it's not about judgment. We're trying to release judgment. In the world of empowerment, we release judgment.
And that's then, like you said, that includes judgment of ourselves, right? That includes self-judgment. It probably includes that first, because some of us are so hard on ourselves. Hey, I'm probably the queen of that, but I'm working on it, y'all. I am really working. I'm really working on that. Okay. Dr. Bakari can tell you that. I'm really working on that, and that is on the daily. So what are two things that people can start to do today, right, that will bring them closer to empowered discontent if they're in this state of discontentment?
Yeah, to be a better, in better alignment with discontentment, I think the practice of it comes with who's in our circle. So I would say, look at your circle. And if you're in a circle that minimizes your chance of discontentment because everybody thinks like you, and I've seen many of those groups, you're with people that everybody thinks like you. And what you say is, this is so cozy. I have the best of friends because they support me, they validate me. And I'm like, yeah, there's probably very little growth in that too. Look at your friendship group, right? So that's what I would say is number one. Sorry. And number two, I would say, remember to look internal first without judgment. Look internal. And what are the small shifts that you can begin to make to start questioning and empowering yourself? Well, what shifts do I need to make? And again, if it's in a toxic relationship, the shift is get out the relationship, not to shift to stay in the relationship. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when we're discontent, in a state of discontent. Even if I'm in a bad situation, you have to at least ask yourself, how did I get here? What were the ideals that I brought into this relationship that kept me stuck here for 4 years? What ideas do I need to release in order to move forward out of this situation? What person do I need to let go of? Ooh, we gotta step on some toes here. Who do I need to let go of? Who do I need to let float away out of my life? I'm not talking about calling people up and going, I'm done with you, girl. No, it's not about that. But what happens is that when we begin to shift into our best selves, people who want to help us grow in our best selves, people who want to be around to see us do that, will continue to cling to us. People who can tolerate only the dysfunctional us will float away. You have to be just willing to let them float away. You don't have to tell them to leave. They'll leave on their own. When you start doing what you need to do for yourself, empowering yourself, not letting go of the conflict that it takes to keep them in your life. When you do what you need to do for you, life will begin to align with you. That takes sometimes years. So that takes patience. And while it's happening, it requires constant self-awareness. Check in, check in, check in. Stop always checking people. People checking people. Did they do this? Did they do that? Who can I trust? Question is, can you trust you? Can you trust yourself to say no when that's in your best interest, and say yes when that's in your best interest? Can you trust yourself to create what isn't already in your life instead of demanding it from someone who is in your life? Ooh. Can you trust yourself to be lovable in the absence of need? Because some people only trust themselves to be lovable if they can make someone need them. Can you trust yourself to be lovable in the absence of someone needing you? So check in, check in, check in, check in, check in. Understand your motives. Question yourself with love and compassion, not judgment. Question yourself with love and compassion, not judgment. Because only then can you really take a look and see who you are. Because here's the thing, when you question yourself with judgment, you're going to start telling yourself some lies to cover up. So leave the judgment alone so you can see the truth. When you question yourself with love and compassion, then you afford yourself to see the truth. When you look at yourself with judgment, you'll start telling yourself some lies.
These are some serious nuggets that you have dropped, and thank you for bringing this topic up, because there's something that I'm struggling with now, and I'm just taking everything in that you're saying, and really gonna put a lot of things into practice here today that you're saying. I do want to play devil's advocate though. Okay. On something that you did say earlier, which was, if you're around you have friends and you're around them all the time who just constantly validate you, and you all think alike, like you need to really rethink that, and maybe you need a different group. And I can hear some people saying, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being around people who you identify with, who are like you, you all are alike, and they validate you? Isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we're told that we need to have?
Yes. The question, the key is only validate you. Only validate you. So that even if one of those friends suddenly say no to you, or is not there when you think they should be, now something's wrong with that friendship, right? So the key is only. But here, and so we grow from expanding our world experience and expanding our worldview. So if everybody around me lives the same life as me, where's the growth coming from? If they all have the same opinions, where is the growth coming from? How are you growing together? You're not growing together. You're being stuck in the same place together. Right? So if you invite people into your life who have some different experiences and may think differently, then you're better positioned for growth. If you learn to hear and exchange those ideas and hear feedback from those people. So that's the key.
Okay, yeah, because I can see that, I can see that how a lot of us just that build these communities that are really kind of isolated in themselves, right? It's like we don't know anything about what's going on with the people that are right next to us, but then we have all of these ideas about who they are or who they should be, what's wrong with them, what's it. Yeah, so I can see different experiences being able to expand to give us more information about ourselves and what are other things that, like you talk about alignment, what are some other things that we really align with? You know, sometimes people get outside of their circle, whether that circle is just friends, whether it's family, whatever, and like, oh my God, I didn't know all of this, I didn't know all of this was out here. Like, wow, I really resonate with that. Let me go over here some more and see what else is over there. So
I meet people who if they list 20 people on a piece of paper, and I have this one activity that I do where people list their 20 closest people to them. 19 of them are relatives. So I'm like, you don't spend time with anyone outside of your family? Like, no. That's what we do. Like, I go to work, I come home on Sundays. We go to church, then we go to family dinner. So you don't have any friends outside of your family. So how are you getting ideas, right? You all vote the same way. You all live in approximately the same neighborhoods. You have the same conversation. So what do you do in your life to expand your horizons and experience growth, right? So sometimes it's your family. Sometimes it's your profession. You don't know all of these 19 people are colleagues, right? So they're all in the same age. There's some comfort in that. So I'm not saying that you don't deserve to have that kind of closeness and validation, because that's good for us too. It's when you are limited to those types of groups of people. If no one has given you feedback about yourself that hasn't made you uncomfortable in the last 6 months or a month, I think about it. Are people walking on? Because if you don't get feedback, you don't know. And I've seen this a lot too. Like, people go out to get a job, for example, and they can't get a job. They can't get a job because none of their friends in their circles keep telling them that they shouldn't wear that crazy color hair that they have. They keep telling them how good it looks. And then they keep explaining to them that, well, if people want you to change it, like, no. So it could be that sort of feedback, or it could be feedback about the tone that you use, or the way that you speak, or the way that you do this. Or do you know that you're really defensive when people say that? Like, they don't give you any challenging feedback, right? Some of my closest friends know that my expectation is when we have conversations about something that comes up, their role is to challenge me. That's their role. And it doesn't feel good. But I feel like, okay, if I'm going to grow, I'd rather take it from you than take it from somebody else at least. Or if I hear it from somebody else, at least it won't be the first time I've heard it. I don't have friends that can't give me any feedback. I'm sure there probably are some that, well, I'm not going to tell Dr. Bakari this, right? Or somebody, That could be, and I may be the same way about certain friends. Well, I'll tell her that, but I'm not gonna tell her this, right? But what I'm saying, when you constantly surround yourself with people who cannot give you feedback that leads to discontentment, otherwise you see them as problematic. Because whenever I am discontented, it must be something or someone around me that has caused it. So I need to deal with them and not me.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, wow. Whew. This has been a lot to chew on. I'm going to go back and watch this and watch this and watch this and watch this again, as I'm sure many of you are going to do as well, because this has really been a lot. As usual, you have really dropped a lot of nuggets, things for me to really look at and question about my own beliefs, and really just look at and do a real honest self-examination. So thank you as always, Dr. Bakari, for your insights and your wisdom. Please tell people how they can get in touch with you.
RosinaBakari.com is the easiest way. That's my website, and you'll please download the 3-day reset little handbook. If you don't have that, that'll pop up when you are on the website. That's RosinaBakari, or just like my name spelling, that's up there in the corner. RosinaBakari.com is the website, and you'll find access to reach me there or download information. Lots of articles, lots of on the blog. So I'd love to hear from people.
Fantastic. Make sure you reach out to Dr. Bakari, send a message, say, hey, I'm really enjoying the series, your empowerment series, and again, download the 3-day reset. That's free. Get started on that and keep in touch. Share this video with all your friends, family, enemy, like whoever. Really just share this, get this information out. We really have to help each other heal. Oh, that's the other thing. You can also get Dr. Bakari's book, The Healing Journey. You can get that on Amazon. You can get that on her website. You can purchase that book. That's a daily, that gives you daily things that you can look at, contemplate, help you examine yourself internally. And really get on that journey of healing. So there you go. We will see you next time for another episode. Make sure you stay tuned, bookmark this series, okay? So that hey, it's time for me to check back in with Dr. Bakari and Dr. Singleton and see what they're talking about today. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you. Good to see you all. We'll see you next time. Please feel free to write in about any topic that you would like for us to cover as well.
All right. You got it.